Okay, so that was all that was about the numbers and different numbers that we talked about with, and I'm gonna, the next file that I want you to create, it's the last unit I'm gonna talk right here with it, and I want you to come up here, if you could for me, create a new file. This time I want you to call this file, if you can please create a file, just call it null, N-U-L-L, underscore bool, B B-O-O-L, short for Boolean .js. Make sure you put the file extension JS in there. So null, N-U-L-L underscore B-O-O-L .js with this. So in here, this is what I'm going to talk about. Is what's next is the couple of things that we need to hone in on, and I want to document some of the stuff and definitions, and how you actually do your particular conversation about when we talk about null and this and all this. So some key concepts here with that as well. So this next section I want to talk about is what's called what's a zero, when you get a zero, compared to what's called an undefined and what's called a null. And then the data type called bool. A Boolean is after a mathematician with it. So first of all, some key concept with it. A null is an assignment. Your assignment. You're assigned to a value with it. You're assigned value. I mean, but it means, what it means is basically nothing. Null means same as nothing. Null is an object. Bear with me when I term as the word object later on when we talk about the windows. It's also a Windows object with as well. But an undefined is of type undefined. It's undefined is different in a way. Let me get down to the undefined section. Null is an object. All right, but when you come down to undefined, if you remember what undefined is, for example, you can't divide things into a zero, right? So if I took 4, divide that into 0, you never have a 0 as a denominator. We learned that in grade school with it. So, but undefined means a variable. Has been declared, but not defined. Okay. Yet. Here's the key word. And then lastly, I want to talk about the 0. 0 is actually, it's a value. It is a valid value, right? So if you took, for example, 0 divided into 4, well, that's going to be equal to 0, right? So that's something that's very crucial for you to understand, is these three terms do not equate to one another. And I want to try some code for you to see. So for example, I took variable, var. You remember how we define a variable, let or var. Var is more of a global. I want to do temp is equal to 0 with this. All right. And then I'm going to run the code. I'm going to do console.log, and then I'm going to give me the temperature at this time with it. And then I'm going to run this thing. Control S saves it, right? So I'm going to clear this from last time. And I'm going to do node. And I'm going to do null underscore bool.js. Okay. Yeah, this has moved a little bit to the right, a little bit. You see that? So it's JS. So I want to run that, and here's that 0. That's the temperature right now, right? And I could go in here and output this, whatever, inside this memory all day with it. Now, what if I went into this thing, I took this out, I didn't put an assigned value to this thing, right? What if temperature is not initialized? I just left it like that, and I want it to be output to this thing, right? So I want to run this thing right now with it. Look at that. It's undefined. So the definition of undefined means that a variable has been declared but not defined yet. You have declared this. You see that? But you haven't defined it yet with it. So that's the difference between a null and a zero and an undefined with it as well. When we get into a little bit more complex programming with this, you're going to see that that let's say we came up with a variable that when we write conditional statement. So conditional statement are all based on this this concept of if it's true or false with it. So when we talk about conditional statement in here with it, it's going to be your code is going to be based on some event. Bear with me. What I mean by some event, some condition. So let's say you did a grade system. And this grade system is, let's say we do some, let me block code this thing. And let's say our system is, let's say if you did 10, great job. Let's say you did 5, you need work needed. Okay, work hard. Let's say you did 4, and you got poor. And 3, I don't know, let's do 2. Is poor. Let's do that. Let's change that 4 into a 2. Yeah, or else we'll be here all day. And 1 is basically you fail. I mean, kind of like some tier. It looks like this. Some sort of tier like this, and we're all familiar with this thing. A Boolean operator in here. So if I took a Boolean operation, it can only hold either true or false in this conversation, and it holds two values. And I want to demo this with you and some of the stuff that we're going to see here with it. So as you go through this, I want you to think about how a Boolean operator, when we come across with it. So for example, I want to use let in this particular situation that we're going to do is let grade equal to true. And then I'm going to come down here, I want to say console dot log, and I'm going to say true. I'm going to say grade. So here, I'm going to save this. Let me run this right now. And you notice that this log over here is going to have a grade of true. This is what you see with it. All right. The other option is, let me change this back a little bit with it. So what if I wrote let same thing with it as well. Let we're going to define actual marks. Let that equal to 7. And I want to compare. I want to let my grade, and I want to compare actual mark, that variable that I just declared. I want to compare that. Is that less than 10, for example? Semicolon with it, and then I want to actually output. I want to output console dot log. What am I outputting? My grade, right? My grade with it. So this will actually let me see what's going on with this. And I'm going to come in here, come over here, Control S, saves that. Run this one more time. So I have a 7. 7 is less than 10 is true with it. Change the 7 if you want to 10. 10 less than the 10 is false, right? I didn't put an equal sign in here. So it should say a false, which it did right here. Where's the false? So here's my point, is that we are getting into some logical operators and all these what's called logical operators in programming with it. And they consist of less than, greater than. Let me do this, a list of them. There's less than or equal to. There's also greater than. There's also greater than or equal to. All right. And one last concept I want to talk to you about is the equal sign with it as well. That's a comparison versus the single equal sign. All right. So up to this point right now, you're familiar with a single equal sign. So if you said something like a single equal sign, which is this, which means if you did like let int 1 equal to 4. The single equal sign means what? The right side, store that into the left side. When you have double equal sign, it is a comparison of the left and the right. And the left and the right, let's say you do 45, does that equal to 55? And of course it does not. So the outcome is false. If you did something like this and is 45 equal to 45, and the answer is true. So you get a Boolean outcome from this expression with it as well. So let me pause right here and make sure you understand the difference between a single equal sign and a double equal sign before we move forward, okay?